Video we're going to do today is a bit of a two-in-one video. We're going to look at first of how to prepare popcorn to make grain spawn jars. Now, something I've just got into recently using popcorn. It's a lot easier to mix with your substrate and it seems to colonize really well. And then the second part of the video, we're going to have a look at how to make all-in-one bags using our popcorn grain that we're going to make. Now, what is an all-in-one bag? Well, traditionally we have our master's mix substrate or whatever substrate, could be CVG, ready to inoculate with our sterilised grain. Now obviously we need a flow hood or a still air box to do this because we need to do it in sterile conditions. So what we're going to do when we're doing it traditionally is we break up the grain, open up the bag, tip it in, give it a mix, seal the bag up, and then we're ready to go, leave it to incubate and go into fruiting conditions. But all-in-one bag, principle of an all-in-one bag is when we make the bag up, underneath the layer of substrate, we're going to have a layer of popcorn. We're going to put them all in the bag together and then sterilise everything together, seal it up and let it cool. Now, what we can do then, we can then inject our spores or a liquid culture directly into the grain underneath the substrate, put that into incubate. Once the grain underneath is colonized really well, we can then just break the whole lot up and mix it up in the bag. And the advantage of this is you don't need a flow hood or you don't need to have a still air box to do that. So we can get it all mixed, ready to colonize with mycelium without having to open the bag and risking any contamination going into the bag. Now, to prepare our popcorn, what I've done with this, as always, I've got one that we started yesterday. I've had my popcorn soaking for at least 24 hours in cold water, and you can see the difference here. This is the original popcorn, very clacky, very dry. 24 hours later, you can see it's swelled up quite a lot. And the next stage, or what we've got to do with this, is to give it a boil, obviously to get it more hydrated and ready to put into our bag. So if we pour this into our pan, timings on this is quite critical. If we do it for too long, we end up getting a mushy mess. If we don't do it for long enough, it's not hydrated enough. So we're going to top this up with hot water. And then we're going to put it on the hot plate and we're going to bring it up to a boil, and then we're going to simmer it for, as I say, 40 minutes. Then it's a pretty similar process to making rye grain to dry and get it ready for putting into our bags. So we're going to turn the hot plate on, put it on high to start off with, and we're going to pop our popcorn onto the hot plate, and we're going to bring that up to a boil. Once it goes up to boiling, rolling boil, we're going to turn it down and simmer gently for 40 minutes. Right, now we'll come back in 40 minutes and we'll have a look at what we do to very quickly dry the grain and get it ready to make up our all-in-one bag. So we've got our popcorn simmering for 40 minutes. We've just took it off the heat. I am now going to drain the popcorn into a colander. And the way I'm going to dry the grain is how we did it in the video for the making grain jars with rye grain. I've got a towel on the bench and I've got a piece of scaffold netting on the top. Now we're just going to pour this out on top, and you can see the quickest thing that's going to start this grain drying is evaporation. So if we do it very quickly, and we get it onto the now it's hot, onto the scaffold netting. We can just leave that to evaporate off for a little bit, and then we'll come back probably in about 20 minutes and have a look at how much water is left on the surface of the grain. And again, a little tip like we did last time: paper towel strip. You get a bit of tissue paper or paper towel, and it should be dry enough not to show any water when you dab the grain with a paper towel. So we'll come back in 20 minutes and see how that's doing. Right, so we've been about 20 minutes now. Yeah, obviously dried very well. Paper towel, and you can see we've got no moisture left in the grain. So what we're going to do now is to just use my scaffold net to get all that grain together, and we're going to remove the towel, and we've now got our substrate bag, we've got our grain ready to go, and I've also got in my B&Q bucket here. This is the master's mix that we made in one of the previous videos, and that's ready to go in the bag. So we're going to start loading the bag up. What we're aiming to get is we want a nice layer of our popcorn on the bottom of our bag. So if we open up our bag, I think about 2 jugs or a little bit more will be okay. Right, so we've got a nice layer of popcorn across the bottom of our bag. Now I've got some plans for this extra grain. I am going to put that into some standard jars and use that for grain spawn. And now we're going to top the bag up with our master's mix. We'll put one more in there. Let's have a look at that. Right, a little bit more. Right, so there you have it. What we have now is our bag with a layer of corn at the bottom that we are going to inject with, you can either use, what depends what you're growing, with spores. I always use liquid culture. So we have our bag made up now, and you can see quite clearly we've got a nice layer of grain at the bottom, layer of master's mix at the top, and the next stage for this is sterilisation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop this in the pressure cooker, 15 psi for 1.5 hours, and then once that has finished cooling, we'll come back and have a look at how we use these with a self-healing injection port to grow your mushrooms on. So we finished pressure cooking, 15 psi for 1.5 hours, and what we're going to do is quickly take our bag out of the pressure cooker, over to the impact sealer, and we're going to seal the top of the bag. Right, there we go. Now what we've ended up with is our perfectly sterile grain at the bottom, master's mix on the top. Now the only thing we need to do just to finish off this bag before we can actually use it is put our self-healing injection ports on. So just to make sure nice and clean, there's no residue on the bag, just going to give it a spray with the alcohol, clean that up, sterile, make sure that's sterile. And I'm going to put 2 self-healing injection ports on this bag. and I'm going to inoculate one end and the other end. Now, what am I going to inoculate with? Well, I had a request for a lion's mane, how to grow a lion's mane video, so we will use that to in the next video to do a lion's mane grow. So there you go, all in one bag, ready to go. No special equipment needed really, like flow hoods or anything to make it up, because that now will not be opened again until it's starting to fruit. So thanks for watching. Lion's mane we'll do next time.